Hi guys, how you doing? It's Dave the Carp Man here. I was out fishing this weekend and this is where I got the idea to do my next video for YouTube. As I said, I was fishing on a weekend and there was a young bloke fishing in the swim next to me, and the poor sod, he just started out carp fishing and he didn't really have any understanding on how his reel works, how the Baitrunner system works. He had it too tight on one and miles too loose on the other. So I gave him a little talk for about half an hour. Really nice lad. Actually caught a couple of fish, so that was good for him. That was his first session, and now he understands his reels. Hopefully, he can take that on, onto his next sessions and so forth. So basically, I've got a reel here today. My first bit of advice, if you are just starting out carp fishing, is there's lots of cheap reels on YouTube and Amazon. Try and stay away from the really cheap reels. The ones that are £6, £10. Because they will only last you half a season, or they probably will break when you're playing that potentially big carp. They're okay for little silver fish, I would say, and a few small carp, but I wouldn't trust the really cheap reels. There's companies out there like NGT. They're good for bags and clothing and cooking equipment, but stay away from the rods and the reels and their tackle. Pay a bit more money. Just one like this. This is a really good make. This is Shakespeare. I'm sure we've all heard of Shakespeare. It's a well-known brand. It's been around for absolute donkey's years. And these reels are $27.99 each. And they're a big step up from NGT. These will last you, if you look after them, they will last you quite a few seasons. As I said, Shakespeare is a really good make. They started off for match fishing really and float fishing, and they've just escalated into the carp world. Yes, I have actually got some more expensive brands, but I still actually use these today. I've got 3 of these, they're my spare reels. So I'm going to just give you a quick lesson on how to understand, there's a lot of information written on your spool. So let's just start off with what the gear ratio means. As you can see there, it says gear ratio 5.1.1, and what that means is for every turn you do turn your handle and your spool goes round, that will go around 5.1 times. Obviously that's quite slow, but if you're doing carp fishing, I would still say that's okay. If you're doing match fishing where you're constantly casting, reeling, and you need to get the fish in quick, release them quick, then you might want to step up to a 7.1 or an 8.1. But that's what that means. The 5.1 gear ratio means every time you turn the handle, that's how many times it will turn on a full cycle. The next thing is all the numbers written down here. On this one, you've got 14 pounds. So that's saying that maximum line strength for this spool is 14 pounds. 250 yards maximum. So you can put 250 yards of line on there. And it's also got 0.36 mm, which is millimeters. That's the depth of the spool. And you also got there 230 meters if you're not used to yards. So that's what that means. So that's all the information you need there for your spool. And obviously you've got the brand there. And on here is the how many ball bearings. This has got 1 ball bearing. As you can see, on most reels it's written down there, 5 ball bearings, 6, 7, or whatever. But they do say, the more ball bearings you have, the better and the easier it is to play the fish. But I believe, yes, this has only got 1 ball bearing, but it's well made, and it's got a good name behind it, behind the reel, Shakespeare. So that's all the information around your spool, guys. The next thing you need to know, obviously, this is the bail arm, and obviously when you thread your line through, there, and when you cast, hopefully you should all know this, you pull down the bow arm, finger, take your finger off, and then out it goes. When the Baitrunner's on, we'll get to the Baitrunner in a minute, but when the Baitrunner's on, you can turn, and the bail arm goes back on. Underneath, you have an anti-reverse. Now, when the anti-reverse is off, like it is now, as you can see here, I'm turning this way, but in reverse, I can't turn. Flick the anti-reverse on, now I can go both ways. That's good for when you plan a fish. If you want to give the fish line without using your drag or your clutch or your bait runner, you can just give it line just by reversing the handle. One tip, always leave that off. If you get a run and your rods are down on your pod, you don't want that spinning backwards, because you'll end up getting a bird's nest and your line will just be all tangled, and that's one thing you don't want when you're in the middle of a play and a fish, or you're striking, you're hitting into the fish, your anti-reverse is on, and you're just going to get a massive bird's nest when all the line comes out, and you end up probably losing the fish and having to cut your line or spending an hour or so untangling it. So that's the anti-reverse, guys. Always leave that off until you require it to be on. The next thing is you've got a line clip here. I don't know if you can see that. There's the line clip. You can use that when you tackle down, just like I've done here. I should just get the line out. That's sitting underneath there like so. So it's not going to get tangled up when I put it away. And also it's used for when you're casting out to find your spot. If you're in a good spot and you know you've found that spot on your first cast, clip up, reel in, and then every time you aim back for that spot, you know you're going to hit that spot every single time. But do take the line off of the clip when you've put your bobbin on and it's all on the pod, you're happy with it, because otherwise you could have your bait runner on, you forgot you've got your line under your clip, the carp comes, runs with the bait in its mouth. Yes, your bait runner's on, but because that's clipped up, it's going to pull your rod and your pod over and possibly your rod in the lake. So I'm going to unclip that now and show you what the bait runner is. This is the bait runner, guys, on the back here. That's on, that's off. When you're resting your rods down, they're in the lake, you've gone back to your bivvy and you want the fish to take line, always keep your bait runner on. And obviously when you strike into the fish, or you're gonna reel in when that goes off automatically, or the way I do it is I hold the spool and then strike and then I'll reel in and then that goes off automatically like this. I'll just show you if I can. There you go, and it goes off. So the purpose of the bait runner, as I said, is to give the fish line. At the back here is my clutch. Some people call it a drag, but it's a clutch. This is what controls how much line you're giving out. So obviously right is off, as you can see here, no line is given. So if I don't want to give the fish any line, if I'm fishing in a really tight snag and I'm there by my pod, as soon as my alarm goes off, I'm hitting into the fish. So as you can see, that's not giving any line. Let's just take that all the way off to the left, as you can hear. And now what happens is the fish picks up me boilie. As you can see, it's taking line. Now it's up to you if you give it a lot of line or hardly no line at all. I normally have mine set halfway. So I like to give my fish about that much line. So when it takes it gives me enough time to get to me rods and not give the carp a chance to take me into a snag. As I said, it's down to personal preference. If you have it too loose and you don't get to your rods in time, the line's just going to absolutely fly off the spool. And yes, if you've got a clear lake, not so much of a problem. But most lakes there's unknown snags down there. Fish are very clever. They'll take you to trees, take you to roots, take you to snags, tire snags, anything. So know your lake to to decide how much line you want to give the fish. About halfway is not too much of a problem. But if you're fishing in heavy weed or snags, don't give it too much line. Give it some line, obviously, so it can run. But that's how much you wanna give. So I'm just going to turn that drag off for now. I normally have these set. My reels that I've just finished fishing with this weekend, they're already set. I'll check them once I put them down. But I don't normally touch this at all. I do it all with the anti-reverse, as I showed you underneath here. And the bait runner. Obviously this here, unscrew this. This is to make your handle. It's easier if you're packing your reels up in a holdall. you're limited for space, or even if you're not limited for space, the handle sticks out a lot. So this, unscrew this, like so, and that enables you to tuck the handle down. So take it all the way out, and that enables you to tuck the handle in, sorry, or down. So when you do pull it in your bag or your holdall, whatever you're using, it's not going to take up that much room because it's sitting now like that. As you can see, it's not sticking out the way it was. So there you go, guys. So you know the gear ratio, what that means. You've got all the measurements there on the strength of the line, the depth of the spool, and how much yardage or meters you can put on. You've obviously got the ball bearing. The ball bearing indicates how many ball bearings that reel has. As I showed you earlier, this said it had one ball bearing, so it's got one ball bearing. You've got the anti-reverse. Always leave that on so you can't reverse. Sorry, leave it off so you can't reverse, and flick it on when you want to play, you know, when you want to give the fish line or however you play your fish. But always leave that off. You've obviously got the Baitrunner. I described that. When it's on, the fish can take line, controlled by your clutch at the back, how much line you want to give it. And obviously when you plan the fish, you're going to want to leave it off unless you want to give the fish line manually. So there you go, guys. Just a quick rundown on how to understand your reel. And as I said before, try and stay away from the really cheap reels on Amazon and eBay, because they won't last. All it takes is for you to hook into potentially your PB, a nice £20 fish, £20 carp, and your reel fails on you. And what I've found with really cheap reels is the Baitrunner, it's not very well made. So as you're flicking the Baitrunner on, it's intermittent, it's not giving the line, it's jolting. Or sometimes they just foul after the first two trips to the lake, it just fails. And that's what you don't want to have. So if you're on a budget, I recommend Shakespeare. As I said, they're about £25 a reel, and they will last you. So thanks for watching, guys. Any more comments on any more videos you would like me to do, just do what the last video has done and just leave me a comment, and I'll see what I can do. Thanks very much, and thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. See ya.